Dank times, Danker thoughts, sweet vibes and taking it sleazy. The dankness is taking over, nonsense is dancing through his mind. Oh, the dankness is taking over. Dank times, Danker thoughts with Angelo.
Well, hello there. Welcome to another episode of Dank Times, Danker Thoughts. I believe this is episode, 78. Christ almighty, that number's unrealistically large. Well, I just saw it the other day that COVID has killed 5 million people worldwide. I don't know if Mother Nature would be happy with that number. She'd probably want a little bit more. And if that's what Mother Nature wants, I think Mother Nature's going to get it because, what are we at? Something like 70-something%, almost 80% of this country is vaccinated, but that still gives you 20 to 25%, let's just say, of unvaccinated people still. Knowing all we know, knowing that most of the conspiracies that I've heard about the vaccine have been proven unequivocally false, such as we've had 8 or 9 months worth of testing now. I mean, how long has the vaccine been out? Not a year, but damn near close to a year. And the data's in. You're not picking up 5G. You're not speaking Mandarin. You're not waking up in the Matrix. And some other stupid conspiracies that have all been bunked. So, at this point, if you still, in my opinion, think that getting vaccinated or try your hardest to prevent it from getting it, then I don't know what you're doing. If you still think it's a wild hoax, not real, a distraction, you blame the Chinese for bringing down Trump, or you blame the establishment cabal or whatever the nonsense is. But I will say this: if it does come out that like some super ancient long line succession of a cabal of like lizard people that have always been here for millions of years have actually been controlling the earth and the politics and the global markets and Durka, if that actually does come out to be true, I think I can honestly say that I would be like, that's not a surprise. I can't wait for the movie version of this. It'll be pretty sweet. It wouldn't surprise me is what I'm trying to say. But anyway, back to Mother Nature being kind of met with the 5 million dead. My analogy meaning is that, well, we still have a large percentage, damn near a quarter of the country that still is not vaccinated. So we still have a lot of deaths going on every single day. So that 5 million is going to keep growing. And that should please Mother Nature, because you can strip away your race, strip away your culture, your nationalistic pride, strip away all that nonsense. At this point, right now, it is human beings versus nature, because that's really what we're at right now. We are killing this planet. We've known about it for a long time. And the people that we keep electing, somehow, some way, the wrong people seem to always be leading the most important countries. And so you're going to keep seeing, Great Barrier Reef dying, more flooding, more tornadoes, and all that melt in the glaciers. So we can sit at home and bitch about, they want to teach my kid critical race theory. Well, no. None of that shit's going to matter, when you have a large percentage of this planet that live coastal and those coasts flood, and we're going to see refugee crisis that's going to be like nothing this world has ever seen. If you still think the people we elect more often than not really genuinely have your best interests at hand, I think there are a few. I think you're lying to yourself. You're bullshitting yourself is what my point is there. But I do think there are a few people. They tend to be the newly elected. They don't have a lot of prior experience. You know, they're not swamp things, basically. And until I'm proven that they can't be trusted, I'm going to keep supporting politicians. And I'll be honest, I tend to swing progressive or Democrat, but I have voted Republican in my life. It doesn't really fucking matter. I digress. So, 5 million dead. And you can excuse some of the third world deaths because they don't have the access to the vaccine like we do in the first world. And so it's even more selfish to me that you have people still refusing to do anything. And whatever. You move on with your fucking life. But if you still are ranting and raving and refusing all of that shit, well, then I have to take a hot take here and say, well, I maybe not say, but I may have to pose the question, are all the right people dying from COVID due to not getting vaccinated? Think about it. From my point of view, I have sympathy for those people. And let me back up. The COVID-19 death, I've been told, is a horrific death. And most of it you are alone, and so you don't have friends or family around you. It is a death that is no laughing matter. I may make jokes, but, you know, it's all you know, coming from a good place in my heart, you know. I'm joking around, okay? It's all in good humor is what I'm trying to say. But I am going to make jokes, so wah. I look at people like Aaron Rodgers. I don't give a fuck that he caught COVID and that he took ivermectin. I don't give a fuck about that. What I give a fuck about is that he lied about it. And he wasn't following protocols that he, an unvaccinated person, should have been taking. So he was putting other people's lives at risk. And if you think that, oh, you're putting lives at risk, the transmission level is so low, durka, that nonsense fight. But hey, have you seen people in Wisconsin where the Green Bay Packers play, where Aaron Rodgers plays NFL? Wisconsin. I don't think babies are born in that state under 80 pounds. Okay? They are in triple digits before they can walk. Have you ever seen a Green Bay Packers home game? It doesn't matter what the goddamn weather is. It could be 20 below, and you will see walrus people, shirtless, with letters painted on their somehow hairless chests, chugging beers, and they have the eyes of a meth-crazed addict. But you know what they're addicted to? America, freedom, football, and a whole lot of goddamn cheddar cheese. So Aaron Rodgers could have killed thousands of people. And I bet a lot of those poor fat fucks are fully vaxxed too. And, you know, coronavirus would have taken him anyway. Because, you know, side story here, a couple weekends ago I took the old man to a Italian community bake sale around Burien. You had to be vaccinated to be allowed in, which my father and I both proudly are. And I saw some people there that I cannot believe coronavirus did not take out. I saw people that were more meatball than human, more cannoli than man, more manicotti than woman. It was a good bake sale. It was a good community thing, whatever. It was fun. But one shitty thing about it is, it started at 8 o'clock. My father and I got there at 10 o'clock. So only 2 hours into it. All of the fucking cannolis were gone. Every single one. Who in the right mind didn't know that when you have an Italian community bake sale, what is the most popular Italian dessert that people like in this fat fucking American country? They like the cannoli. Do they like the healthier tiramisu? Or the healthier spumoni ice cream? Or dare I say, one of the most healthiest foods out there, gelato. It tastes like a better version of their fat fucking ice cream, but they know they like their ice cream. They don't eat gelato like a civilized human being. But what do these people like? They like the most fattening Italian dessert that has ever happened and created in the Mediterranean. A cannoli. So I don't know who was in charge of the cannolis. But you fucked up. You fucked up. Do you know how excited I was? Irrationally so. Do you know I woke up that morning and my first thought was, I'm going to get so many goddamn cannolis in my fat chipmunk mouth today? I really did. I was so excited. In fact, when I got to the old man's house, I was like, ready to go? And I just clapped my hands. I was like, let's go, Mook, let's go. Come on, man. Come on, paisano. I hear you, LaFondo. And my heart broke. My calabrese heart that broke. No cannolis for Angelo this year. He has been such a good boy. He deserved at least 3, maybe 4 cannellonis. He was watching his weight the last few days leading up to this Italian bake sale, knowing he was gonna stuff his body with as many cannellonis as he could. Alas, it did not come to pass. So instead, I bought some lemon shortbread cookies that were stale, but still quite good. But on a scale of 1 to 10, even the best one was maybe a low 4. The worst cannelloni. Am I even saying the right food here? I'm thinking I'm the Italian cookie. Cannoli. I think I'm saying multiple different things. What I'm trying to get across, people, is... Hold on a second. Let me type this in here. Yeah, cannoli. What the fuck was I... I was saying cannelloni sometimes. Okay, people. Cannelloni is a pasta. Cannoli is the Italian pastry. But since I have it here, by the way, my mouth is watering just thinking of imaginary cannolis. I don't even have cannolis in the house. There is no decent place in this godforsaken country to get a cannoli. Cannolis are Italian pastries consisting of tube-shaped shells of fried pastry dough filled with a sweet, creamy filling, usually containing ricotta, angel jizz, a staple of Sicilian cuisine. They range in size from 9 to 20 centimeters. Hey, I got you 9 to 20 centimeters right here, mamma mia. In mainland Italy, they are commonly known as cannoli siciliani, but you get the gist. They also have pistachio crumbles mixed in, and sometimes there's powdered sugar on top. My mouth is watering, and I if I Uber eat a cannoli from some shithole diner that's open right now, it's going to be like $40 for 6 of them. They're going to taste like fucking dried cardboard with spinach cheese in the middle. Spinach cheese. I don't know. I was grasping on that one, people. So my point being, it's very selfish when you live in a first world country. You have the greatest life that the world has ever known, because this is the peak of perfection. Every second you're alive right now, if you're living in America and like have a somewhat decent life, like you have a job and a car and you get heating and water and shit in a house and you have a pet or some shit, life is decent. You may bitch all the time because we're used to such luxuries that we just have lost connection to the outside world. You can't even really make fun of Americans, because when you kind of mock us, like, oh, you think you're the greatest, we probably think, thank you for acknowledging it. Because we've been told we're the fucking best. All the movies, we're always the heroes. Anyway, as we should be. I mean, we're making the movies, we should be the goddamn hero. Okay, let me completely flip-flop here on that last statement. Why would an American movie company make a shitload of movies where they're like, you know what, let's let the Hungarian win this one. Let's let Australia win the World War III movie we're making. Fuck it. Oh, hilarious. However, there is a lot of American movies where British people win. That's that colonial attitude. You'll never get it off of us. It's always going to taint us. Oh, man, I'm ranting and raving here. I haven't even gotten to half of this story that I wanted to tell. Because, again, I beg the question, are all the right people dying? Most of them are Republicans. In fact, let me pull up the story that I just read today. And I thought, oh, I got to keep it for the podcast. No, not the homeless one. That is actually really sad. Actually, where's the fucking one that I wanted to read? Did I delete it? Ah, son of a bitch. Anyway, the gist was that out of the deaths from COVID in America, when you split it up by counties, and you look at who they voted for, it's overwhelmingly red counties, conservative Republican areas, whereas where they have the least deaths, blue, liberal, progressive, Durka. Duh. Some of that might be a shocker to you. I don't revel in that as a progressive, seeing quote unquote the other side losing, like everything's a fucking sports match. I don't think that. It's actually quite sad. I feel a lot of sympathy for those people, regardless of who they voted for or what district they live in. It's just sad. So when I saw that the latest QAnon thing, the latest QAnon belief or whatever, which before I dive into that, I want to say once again, the foundation of the QAnon cult belief system, the ideology, is not quite wrong. That there is a like super group of pedophilia, elite, rich, billionaires that are controlling things, like some weird eyes wide shut shit. That personally, I think is true. I think we have somewhat of enough kind of evidence here and borderline conspiratorial stuff, but still, there's some shady shit going on. Is all I'm saying. There's some higher ups. So when you hear buzzwords like the elites, yeah, you're not completely wrong, but words get taken crazy and they get turned into something that they're not. So fake news, even though there is a grain of truth in fake news, because I think we all can acknowledge that, us that have common sense. But when you say fake news, you could use it for almost anything these days. So anyway, my point being is, let me rethink. What the hell is my point here? Oh yes. So QAnon's initial foundational belief, ideological, whatever you want to say it, comes from the right place. They do mean well. But then it just goes crazy. It's like if you take a fat diabetic kid into a candy store and just let them loose. Shit goes out of control and they're going to end up killing themselves because they're just too worked up and too stupid to say, I can't take it anymore, I must stop. But the latest QAnon, I don't even know what you want to call it, but belief or hope or I don't know, they thought somewhere in Texas, I forget where, but it was in Texas, JFK Jr. was going to reveal himself, that he's been alive the entire time. He's been hiding from the elite that are controlling the world, that wanted to have him killed. And he is going to align himself with Donald Trump, and that they will form some kind of mythical Dungeons and Dragons-esque ticket for the next presidency. Like, shit's gonna get fucking cool again, man. Like, we're gonna have dragons and shit. And by the way, I feel like at this point I should say, if you don't know this, JFK Jr. has been dead for over 20 years. It's been pretty much well documented. He died in a plane crash. I don't know why, but the Kennedy family, I don't believe in curses, but if there is such a thing, they absolutely have it. But the QAnon believes that the Clintons wanted to kill JFK Jr. because he was so popular in New York that he was going to run and kick Hillary out, or he was going to prevent Hillary from winning or some shit. I don't remember all the specifics. I didn't read the article that in depth because I feel like when I read these clickbait stupid articles about how America is dying, and then I think, you know what, this actually isn't clickbait. It's actually real happenings that a lot of people in this country believe in. Oh my God, we're Rome in its final days. The Germanic horde has taken us over. Anyway, so the belief was that because JFK Jr. was going to basically stop the Clintons from doing what the Clintons do, which is succeed and win, they had him killed. Or did they? I personally don't believe in the conspiracy about the Clintons murdering people. However, it is interesting that there is a lot of dead people around them that happen to be suicide or accidental or Durka. Do I think that they actually going Bonnie and Clyde on everybody's asses? No. Not at this point. However, if it does come out that all that shit's true, I think I'll probably be 10% surprised. But for me, that's pretty good. So, all joking aside, Are all the right people dying? That's a very loaded question, a macabre question. Some of you may think, Angelo, you're a real piece of shit dirtbag for even assuming that this would be a funny take. Well, I'm being genuine here. Well, I should say the people that are dying that aren't vaccinated and they're choosing not to get vaccinated and then they get COVID and die. So that group, I should say again, it's hard for me to have sympathy for them personally. I feel bad for their family, of course. I feel bad for their communities. But then again, were these even good people? What the fuck am I saying here? Well, I think my brain is about mush now. I did smoke a little bit too much before I went on my little tiny soapbox here. So I'll ask you, my 5 listeners, are the right people dying due to them just saying, you know what? All this factual scientific evidence that any credible doctor is telling me to do, I don't believe it. And you know what? Fuck wearing a mask. Fuck exercising. I'm going to make signs and march outside the abortion clinic and cough on everybody. Oh shit, I can't taste or smell anything. And then 2 weeks later, like Jabba the Hutt as he's getting choked out. Suck it, libtards. You know, is that the typical person that's still passing at this time? Maybe. For the sake of this stupid podcast joke that I'm doing, I think it is. But anyway, I'm feeling philosophical for some reason this podcast. So let's move on to another topic that I was doing some brainstorming on when I was in a marijuana haze, which is, was the concept of religion inevitable since Homo sapiens, I almost said hobo sapiens. No, that's in Seattle. Hobo sapiens. Was religion inevitable because Homo sapiens reached a certain level of intellect and brain evolution, and we started to question things that have never been questioned before because no other animal had those thoughts. So, was religion inevitable? My take after this short recess where I go eat some coconut dark chocolate crisps because I don't have any cannolis. Well, I must clarify. I was going to eat a few pieces of some dark chocolate coconut crisps. I got them at Costco. They're pretty damn good. However, as my fat ass was walking my way to the refrigerator, I walked by a plate of cookies that I completely forgot about. One of my best friends and his girlfriend made me a plate of sugar cookies, and they are delicious. And, you know, at first I was like, thanks, I don't know if I want these because, they're homemade. You don't know what you're getting with homemade cookies or treats or food of any sort. You don't know. I will always love and respect the thought of making me something. Just the idea of it is just warms my small little heart. However, quality, it's a crapshoot. You put on a nice face if they want to see you eat it, and if it tastes like trash, you have to do your best acting, and your boy can act. Believe it or not, I should have went to Hollywood. I really should have. In fact, that's one of my biggest regrets, truthfully, is that I did not go to Hollywood because I had the chance to. Okay, side story. When I was a senior in high school, the topic of what the fuck are we going to do after high school because we don't really want to go to college because we're young and dumb and full of cum and we want to have some fun. And a few of my friends were coming up with the idea of what to do, and myself and 3 of my best friends, still to this day, they're my brothers, we came up with the idea of going to Hollywood. It came from 2 of my friends who are twins. I think, in fact, they were always going to go. That was the idea for a while, and maybe I kind of globbed onto it now that I'm thinking about it. But they did invite me. They didn't want me to go because my buddy went as well, a third person. And there was a span of about a month and a half to 2 months that I was living life thinking that I'm going to go to Hollywood or go to California and at least try. So that way I can at least look at myself in the mirror when I'm 80 and say, at least you tried. I didn't have any false notions like I was going to make it, but I thought I should at least see what all the hubbub's about. I thought I was going to do it for a couple months, and then I told my parents about it, and to my surprise, they did kind of support me, but they were very open with, you're not going to make it. This is all kind of a stupid thing, but what, you know this, right? I said, yeah. I went along with it for a while, but then it kind of dawned on me, what the fuck am I doing? I got really freaked out. I thought about, well, shit, I'm not going to be living at home. I'm not going to see my parents. I'm not going to see some of my friends. What am I going to do about a job? I don't have any money saved up. I love these guys, but can I live with them? And I just kind of had a panic attack, and I pulled out. I said, I can't go. And I think my parents were relieved because I don't know. Maybe I was weak back then. I don't know if I could have done it. I don't know. I ended up not going, and those three did go. My twin friend stayed down there for about 2 years, I believe, maybe 3 years or so. I don't really remember. My other friend who went with them, he lasted for a couple years but came back. And yeah, so they did their thing. They have their own stories and all that. One of my biggest regrets is that I didn't follow through with it just to see. I could have gone to college down there. I could have transferred my credits, but I just freaked out. Yeah, who knows what could have been. I could have took Seth Rogen and Jonah Hill's roles. You never know. I could have been Danny McBride before there was Danny McBride. Oh, for the love of Christ. But anyway, what the fuck was I talking about? How did I start talking about my regrets in life? What are you going to do? Anyway, so, was religion inevitable? Now, again, this is coming from a place not of judgment or hate or of malice or anything like that. I respect a lot of aspects of my religious upbringing. In fact, I think it left quite a large positive mark on my life. However, it wasn't all communion cookies and red wine. There was a lot of, I don't use this term lightly, but sadistic nonsense that fucked me up and took me a long time to work myself out of some of the quicksand of shit that they put me in. And to be honest, maybe I haven't worked all the kinks out, but I think I have made progress in a lot of areas that related to my strange religious, weird puritanical upbringing. It's so fucking weird. But anyway, that's not what I'm talking about here today. I was thinking, because humans had a brain that evolved a certain way, and we developed certain skills like tools, and that led to like little, not civilizations, but little tribes, little, communal areas, and that led to agriculture, and that led to animal taming, and being able to have dogs follow you or wolves follow you and become dogs. You catch my drift? Like, we have a spirit or I don't know, like a fate or something. Like, there's something that happened in our evolution that made our brain super important to our survival to a point where it became the dominant kind of resource for why we're still here. Like, it became, once we were already to the point of survival, like, we may not have been the apex predator. Like, even when we started going in tribes and shit, there were still like saber-toothed tigers and giant bears and sharks and shit out there. I mean, we weren't the apex, but we were the smartest animals out there. We didn't have claws. We weren't giant. We couldn't jump out of trees or jump onto trees. We were apes, shaven apes. But anyway, that knowledge seeking, that I have to learn new things, I have to adapt to a point where I have to, whatever. I got to a point then we started to be, some of our more negative aspects started to evolve with that too, the greed, with theft, with jealousy. Oh, I mean, other animals have these emotions, and in a sense, you can kind of see animals want what other animals have. That's why when you have alpha lions, an up-and-coming lion comes up, I'm going to take this motherfucker, that's jealousy. That's what he wants. That lion's horny. He wants to kill that big-ass alpha lion so he could fuck the female lion bitches and have some cubs and shit. I mean, that's animalistic instinct, but at its core, we have those same fucking feelings, and that's how we become kind of mischievous sometimes, to put it lightly. But I was thinking, did that evolution happen in any other species? Because what other dominant species has there been before humans? And that's, of course, dinosaurs. Dinosaurs didn't evolve brains the certain way we did. They may have created tools up to a point. I just watched a bitchin' documentary on HBO, like 2019, 2020, about some new discoveries about dinosaurs, and not a shocker to me, but dinosaurs are actually way more intelligent than we thought they were 150 years ago. Doy. But my point being, they didn't create computers or cars or buildings or just civilization. You didn't, they may have had family groups, kind of like how you have, reindeer or fish. They travel in packs, and then you may have birds that flock together and shit. Shit like that. The dinosaurs probably did, but not like humans. But why didn't they do it? So then I started to think, what did the dinosaurs have that we didn't, and what did we have that they didn't? And then I started thinking about religion, and I said, okay, the only other animal species that I've ever heard of maybe having a quasi-religious experience was when Jane Goodall was researching chimps. I don't remember where, but for the sake of this conversation, I'm going to make it up and say the Congo. Don't quote me on it. I just picked something out of random air. Jesus, I am stoned. Jane Goodall wrote in one of her diary, journal, magazine, books, whatever. She wrote that she was watching this chimpanzee clan, and after a few weeks, she noticed that during certain kinds of storms, meaning like there had to be like a full moon, there had to be some rain, it had to be at night, the elements had to be just right, but she noticed these elements happening a few times in the course of her studying, that the chimps completely changed their behavior during that moment, during those moments, I should say. In fact, she said that they climbed like a high rock and just looked up into the sky. Now, she mused, is that a form of religion or a faith or a spirituality? She has been watching these chimpanzees for dozens and dozens and dozens of nights, and only when it's just this do they completely change their normal attitude, their normal instincts, their normal behavior, and climb a fucking rock, and they all do it together, and they all just stare up. That's fucking creepy, but cool and beautiful in a way, don't you think? Man, can you imagine if like fucking aliens came right at that moment and abducted them? Jesus, and that's how we became Homo sapiens? That's another QAnon belief, I think, is that ancient aliens abducted ancient chimpanzees, and they fucked, and then the chimps got pregnant, or the aliens got pregnant, and they shit out a humanoid baby. They're like, what the fuck are we going to do with this thing? It's a hybrid of embarrassment. And they said, I don't know, throw it back where the chimps came from and let them figure it out. And that's how we became Homo sapiens. I don't believe that. I think it'd be kind of funny if that actually was proven to be true. I think I would be 75% surprised on a scale of 1 to 100. But anyway, that's the only other instance that I have heard about of animals having a quote-unquote spiritual moment or a religious experience or something, because how the fuck do we know what animals feel outside of humans? We don't fucking know. You look at some of the smartest animals, chimps, dolphins, octopuses. I'm sure there's other smart animals. I'm just drawing a blank and I'm high and I'm all jacked up on sugar. Oh, this diabetes is going to be good. Spirituality. I think it's pretty obvious that humans have it. So why don't we see it in other intelligent animals? Because it's something to do with our brains. Is it that we get to a point, and maybe this is in other alien worlds as well, maybe this is just a common thing in cosmic evolution, that once a niche group or species group gets to a evolutionary point where they become so intelligent that they become the alpha, even though they're not physically the alpha. They're not the biggest or the strongest, but they're the smartest, the cleverest. Dare I say the most evil, because they're willing to stab me in the fucking back. Well, animals do that shit too, but they don't, they don't make pacts. They don't make deals. Humans will make a deal with you, and then the motherfucker will turn his back and he'll just stab you. And no other animal does that. We're unique in that way. So, I don't know. I'm kind of high and I'm rambling. I'm trying to remember what my overall point was. Oh, yes, was religion inevitable because of our evolution of our brain? And we had to start questioning certain things that we've never questioned before, like, what the fuck is the meaning of all this shit? Why was I born? Why do I have to hunt to survive? Why do I have to put my penis in a vagina, and then a little squealing a little screaming child is born? Like, what the fuck is the point of all this? And then I get eaten by a big ass bear. What is the point? And I'm sure we started asking those questions thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago. In fact, I'm sure some of our earliest ancestors, in their own ways, if there's ooga boogas and grunts, were asking themselves, like, why Thog here? Why Thog live? Why Thog die? I'm sure those questions are being asked, because how could they not? How could they not? I've often been asked, or I've asked other people, like, what the human race could have been through time if we either outgrew religion or never had religion. But that was when I was young and stupid, and I just wanted to say outrageous things. But now that I'm a little older, I like to think a tad bit wiser. I don't think it would be that easy. I think it's ingrained in us from an evolutionary point, and then we kind of let it get out of control. I think there is some obvious good to spirituality. I won't say faith, because I don't like that word. I would say spirituality. There is. There's a community benefit to it. However, then comes the evil, selfish, me part of our evolutionary brain that comes in. It's like, how can I exploit this? How can I use this to fuck that woman over there, or to steal that man's house and food? How do I get that land and kill everyone in there by using this spiritual belief that we have? How can I manipulate this to better suit me? That's also part of evolution, people. So I don't know what my point is beyond saying that personally, I don't really believe in a God, quote unquote. I believe that everyone is their own personal God. Like, you only have your own experiences and knowledge in your brain. Like, this is what you're living off of. This is what you're making it up second to second, minute to minute, hour to hour, day to day. When you wake up in the morning and your body somehow rises up and you put your legs off the bed onto the floor and you somehow get on with your life, your past experiences and knowledge and memories, that's how you start living that moment, and you will keep doing those things until you die. So you can imagine what it's like to be other people. You can try to put yourself in their shoes, but you're never truly going to do it. So you just have to try your best to have these positive emotions in your life. Try to highlight them. So when you're trying to better yourself, it's hard not to put yourself in a comparison to outrageous people that are just freaks of nature, whether genetically or cosmetically. I think in my mind, I will always be a fat piece of shit, even though I know that I'm overweight, yes, and I am fat in certain parts of my body. But the way that I still think of myself, I'm 400 pounds. That is something I'm constantly trying to better myself on mentally and emotionally on. Because I see myself in the mirror and I'm like, yeah, that's progress. Still gross, but progress is progress. You have to make yourself happy first, is my point. You can't do life because you think some spiritual being, whatever you choose it to be, is telling you have to live a certain way. You have to look at this person that way because they're that. You have to kill someone because they're different from you. You have to not marry or not hang with, or you have to judge and blah, 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 because of whatever spiritual belief, blah, blah, blah. Well, no. You do what you want to do, and I truly think most people want to do what's right. And what happens is sometimes religion can make you go all kooky in the head. So, is religion inevitable? To me, yes. Was this conversation lucid? Probably not. But let's move on. Oh, let's see what else has been going on in the news. Oh, the Astroworld massacre. Oh, that's so tragic. It's really, really sad. I think I just heard that it's the largest death toll at a American concert since 1979. Was that the Rolling Stones, Hell's Angels? What? I'm not entirely sure, but there was a lot of initial conspiracies about all that. Like, it seems like conspiracies are just the first thing that hits the internet after a tragedy. I don't know why that is. Why can't we just like try to get the facts and shit and try to understand what was going on rather than, well, I know how this happened. Those fucking idiots. But anyway, so there wasn't a lot of actual facts that came at first until later. More and more information did come out. And boy, oh boy, now that it's been a couple days after, Travis Scott and the medical team of the venue there, I forget the name of the venue, but both of them are coming off pretty bad. But I would say Travis Scott's coming off the worst. Now, on a personal note, I love Travis Scott's music. I'm a big fan of his. However, there were some things I did not know about Travis Scott, such as he encourages, well, he doesn't do it all the time, but he has been known to do it, to encourage these kind of fuck the law things at the concerts, meaning fuck the law, meaning, go past the security barriers, who cares? Like, he likes to go crazy, go ape shit, And I can tell in his music, that's why I get pumped up when I listen to it. I'm like, yeah, man, fuck yeah. I get pumped up listening to it, but I don't know if I would encourage that kind of stuff. But, he's a rock star in a sense. So I understand that kind of fuck you to the law attitude, fuck you to the rules and all that shit. But, maybe I'm an old man Angelo now, but you can't be doing that shit, because more and more pictures and videos have been coming out from the actual concert, and it looks horrific before even the surge happened. I mean, people's arms and legs were just sticking out of this huge pile of human bodies that didn't even look like they were humans. And it sure seems like he was encouraging the fans to keep surging forward. I mean, I don't know how he didn't know what was going on. He had to have been hearing the screams and shit, unless maybe he was fucked up on something. I don't know. Maybe he generally couldn't hear or didn't know. Maybe he was just in the moment. I don't know. But it sure seems like he was encouraging it. And there's been videos of from fans' perspectives yelling at the cameras. Oh, by the way, I think another wrinkle to the story is that this concert was being filmed for like a big release. So you had a bunch of production company and video recording people out there, and they were ignoring all that. You could see people yelling at them, hey, turn your cameras on this. People are getting run over. There's unconscious people on the ground here. And now those people had to have heard what was happening in the crowd, and they chose to ignore it. In fact, there is rumors that they chose to ignore it and were like zooming in on the concert, trying to avoid the pandemonium that was going on. I don't know if all that's true. That's just what I've heard. So it's pretty shitty. Initially, Travis Scott came out saying, well, I'm going to cover all the funeral costs. Well, then more information came out like, oh shit, he's got a history of encouraging this type of shit. He was encouraging it at this particular concert. And then, of course, he's with one of the Kardashians. They were able to get away just fine. Well, people were just like running over each other. And then the medical team out there was completely unprepared for it. There was rumors that there was staff that didn't even know how to do the basics of like CPR. And they were just running out of material. Like, they didn't have enough like Band-Aids and water and all that shit. Security, I guess, was undermanned. However, I read today that the police chief, or the, whoever's in charge of the police there, actually spoke to Travis Scott and his team like, hey man, you cannot kind of rile this team up. We don't have the shit going on. I don't know if that's true, but I do know the head cop did speak to Travis Scott. So it's some sad shit, It's probably gonna, I don't know if it's gonna ruin Travis Scott's career, but I mean, he definitely should face some level of consequences, in my opinion. I don't know how much he knew. I don't know. How can we know? We're not him. Only he truly knows. And I hope that he's honest and forthcoming. I hope he does whatever's asked of him. But Jesus, that's sad. But continuing the sad news, let me pull up the story here. The father of tiramisu, Ado Campiol, he died at age 93. Campiol was the owner of Le Piccieri, a restaurant in Treviso in northern Italy, where the famous dessert was invented by his wife and a chef. The dish, featuring coffee-soaked biscuits and mascarpone, was added to their menu in 1972. Can you believe tiramisu is not that old? It's, 40-something years old? But never patented by the family. It has since become a staple of Italian cuisine adapted by chefs worldwide. There have been long-running disputes about the origin of tiramisu, but it is widely accepted the recipe was developed in Campiola's restaurant. Luca Zai, governor of the Veneto region, was among those who paid their respects, tweeting that the city had lost another star in its food and wine history. Oh, why does God take the good ones? Why do the good die young? Okay, let's see. Let's move on to a reality check for a lot of you. Now, I know I spent a long time on this podcast talking about the unvaccinated and asking some hard questions and, dare I say, dark, macabre questions. But the fact remains, we are a divided country, but we also are a soft country. We have the best life this world has ever had, and yet it's not good for us, and we have to find shit to bitch about. As far as I'm aware, the unvaccinated are still getting the same benefits from the government when it comes to Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, food stamps, what have you, unemployment. It may be harder for them to get a job. That is their own decision, their body, their choice. But I did find a story that I think is going to make some of these unvaccinated think, we actually have it quite good here in America. We actually do have some freedoms that you may think are being taken from you, but you're a mook if you think that. Singapore to no longer offer free COVID-19 treatment to the unvaccinated. I'll be damned. Singapore announced Monday that it will stop covering the medical bills of its citizens infected by COVID-19 if they are unvaccinated by choice starting next month. The government has been footing the medical bills of Singaporeans, permanent residents, and long-term pass holders throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. This was to avoid financial considerations added to public uncertainty and concern when COVID-19 was an emergent and unfamiliar disease, the statement reads. For the majority who are vaccinated, this special approach for COVID-19 bills will continue until the COVID-19 situation is more stable. Those who are not yet vaccinated against the virus have been negatively influencing the country's attempts at getting the virus under control, the ministry wrote. And then it goes forward to say, currently, unvaccinated persons make up a sizable majority of those who require intensive and inpatient care and disproportionately contribute to the strain on our healthcare resources. The new policy, which goes into effect December 8th, affects willingly unvaccinated people who are admitted to hospitals or COVID-19 treatment facilities, people who are ineligible for vaccinations, including children under 12 or those are Durka. This doesn't affect them. So we actually have it kind of good here. Can you imagine this country if that shit happened? There would be riots in the street that would be ended quite quickly, because not to make a complete judgment on the entire unvaccinated race, but they tend to be unhealthy, fat, and let's face facts, if they get in large groups and start marching, they're going to sweat, they're going to get tired, they're going to catch COVID and die real quick. So maybe it's not a good idea. But in this country, we still are paying for medical things, depending on your insurance. Not so much in Singapore. So we have it kind of good here for you unvaccinated fucks. So I'd start by thanking us and getting vaccinated, you selfish cunts. And on that happy note, I think we can wrap up. I love you. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Take it sleazy. And, in honor of the jabroni who created arguably the best dessert of my lifetime, tiramisu, go get yourself a slice. It's easier to find than the cannoli. You will not find a cannoli so easily. Tiramisu, shit. You could go to any 7-Eleven or CVS or what the fuck and you could get it. You're not going to find a cannoli anywhere unless you go to like an Italian grocery store or maybe like a European world market or some shit. What a delicacy. See, that to me is a delicacy. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about delicacies here because I don't understand. Maybe because I'm just a ignorant, white privileged, racist, white American male, but I think of some foods that are considered delicacies and I just don't get it. like this mukbang fad that's happening in Korea and all that shit, when they're eating like weird animals and like octopuses and shit. That's gross. That's not a delicacy. Come on, man. Come on, man. China, all your weird shit with endangered animals. It's weird. I don't care if it's racist. It's weird. Just don't do it. Stop taking rhino horn and rubbing it on your dick and thinking now it's super big. No, you just killed an endangered species. You're an asshole. Get the guillotines. And other shit like caviar. I had that shit. It tasted like yuck. But then again, I don't like gel balls like tapioca or boba. Maybe I just don't like jelly balls in my mouth. See, I knew I wasn't fully gay. Anyway, I heard a funny description, an old description for gay people. They were called a $3 bill. I don't know why, but that's so funny to me. I knew I wasn't a fully $3 bill. That shit's hilarious. All right, guys, on that happy note, later.